Alright guys, so what we're going to do today is we're going to identify valence electrons. Okay, so our key one here is our Bohr models. So we're going to start off with our first term. Again, these are valence electrons, not balance, valence. Now this is just a fancy term for the electrons in the last shell. The last one. So remember, we talked about it in our previous video. It can be the last shell, last energy level, last orbit, however way we're going to call it, or however way it is called, right, on exams or things like that. So we just focus on the electrons in that last shell. Now, what do we mean by shells? So these Bohr models show us that last shell, and they show us all the shells, actually. So we're going to start off with just a very quick example, right? So we have all these shells. You get a different marker here. So what these shells are, each of them can hold a specific amount of electrons. So shell number 1 can hold 2 electrons. That's the max. Shell number 2 can hold 8 electrons. Shell number 3 can hold 8. Shell 4 can hold 18. And shell 5 can hold 32. Now, that's the max that can go in each shell. Now, that doesn't mean that that shell is going to be overwhelmed with all these electrons. It's basically saying, all right, here's your limit. If you reach that limit, then you can move on to the next one. So we just kind of have to memorize this a little bit. So 2, 8, 8, 18, 32, right? Now, I'm probably not going to quiz you guys on going all the way to 32. Alright, but that's just a good common knowledge for y'all. Alright, so let's go back to a very simple element. So let's go back to oxygen. Now, oxygen here, we have a 6 here, right? And then we have an 16, sorry. Again, 5.999, round that off to 16. So, 8 and 16. So we kind of break it down. Alright, we do our pen here, and we do protons, atomic number, so that's 8. Electrons is 8. And neutrons are 8. Now, how did I do that? I subtracted, right? So I'll actually put it on here. That way it's a lot easier for us to track. 16 minus 8 equals 8. Right? So again, this is our neutrons. Now, do I graph my neutrons here for my Bohr models? No. Okay? You use your electrons only. So let's go ahead and graph oxygen. So there's our Bohr model. So I'm going to put oxygen here, and I'm going to do a little circle here. Put a little circle. That is my first shell. I have 8 electrons, so I'm going to put 2 in the first shell. 1, 2. Okay, now, I can't put any more. Why? Because our rule tells us that I can only fit 2 of them. Now, if I put 2, that means I have 6 remaining. So I'm going to go again. I'm going to put 2. Or 2 more. We're 1, 2. Now I got 4. Now I'm going to fix 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Boom. Right? So this here is going to tell me my valence, which is my last shell here, has 6 electrons. 6 electrons. So this is my valence. Right? I stop. I don't have to do anything else. Right? That's the limit towards my Bohr model here. Now, let's do another one here. We're going to do potassium. Now, potassium is 19 K39. Okay? That is, I guess, our models, right, for potassium. Now this is going to be a little more challenging, right? So I have potassium here, I have K, so I do a little circle. Now, max go in my first shell is 2. So I'm going to put 1, 2. Now I have 17 left over. So I'm going to do it again. Now the max that go in this shell is 8. So I'm going to have to fill this up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Now notice how I'm spreading out my electrons. It just makes it a lot neater. That way I don't have like all 8 on one side or all 6, right? So as a rule, I already have 10, right? So I have 10, so I can't keep going because the limit is 8. So I have to draw my next shell. So then my next shell, okay? Now I have 10, I have 9 left. So I have to fill this up with 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Awesome, right? Now I have how many left over? I have 1 because I have 19. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna draw my last shell here. Now this shell can hold up to 2, 8, 8. That can hold up to 18 valence. But I'm not gonna do all 18 valence, right? I'm only gonna put 1. Because now this means that I have 19 electrons in total. So then my outer electrons here is 1 valence. Now, we're gonna do another video where it's gonna show us how can we calculate these, right? So we have these valence here. So then so this is 1 valence, so this means by rule this is in group 1 of our periodic table because it has 1 valence. And this is 6 valence, so what do I do for this one? Remember, you look at that 6A number, you're going to see the little 16 group, and it's going to say 6A. That is where oxygen is located in our periodic table. So again, it's going to look something like that, right? So your little elements, okay, and then you're going to have that one. Now, there's 2 ways to figure that out, right? You have your 6A, 6 valence, or one trick that I taught you guys was 16, take out the 1, you have 6 valence. So then oxygen, guys, is in group 16. So this is how you get your Bohr models, guys. Okay? Practice, make sure you know how many shells you got, and break this down.